Hey you guys, look at all this space that I have here. I cannot reach my arms out fully yet, but there's still a lot more space here than before. The reason is because there's been a lot of changes around here that I want to show you guys in this episode. Over the past couple of months, there's just different things growing and certain things dying back, such as the sunchokes. That's usually the first sign that, the cold is coming, because they would start dying back. I just got some of those harvested actually. Then other than that, I got a couple of new raised beds. I'm so excited about having this extra room to plant. Let me show you guys some of the changes and the things that have been growing here. Right over here, I got a raised bed. I got a couple of raised beds actually. I got them used for a pretty good price. This one is about, I think, 5 feet by maybe 20 inches. So I need something that's very specific to the size of this area, otherwise it's just not going to fit. I really like that it's elevated. That would allow more light to come through, because on this side is a solid wall. Usually you have to get the plants to reach a certain height for them to actually get decent lighting. That's why an elevated raised bed is really useful for a small narrow space, especially a solid with solid walls. When you grow things in a raised bed or just one large container, you can utilize the space a lot better, whereas growing in a container, like small round containers, when you're putting pots next to each other, you're losing a lot of that space in between, that empty space. I feel like it's such a luxury for me to have this extra space to grow things in now. So far, I've treated this wood with some mineral spray. I've done that on one of the episodes, how to prepare the dragon fruit trellis, which I'll show you guys right after this. So I did the same thing with this wood to extend the life of it. I got this pond liner here. I even used some used soil, threw in all the good, like rock dust, worm castings, all that sort of good stuff in there. And then I topped it off with a couple of fresh potting mix. However, I still need more soil, you guys, to top this off. I mean, this surprisingly can hold quite a lot of soil. I got some plants. You can see I've started these from seed. This is from that episode where I show you guys how to grow plants from using some recycled products. So this was actually grown in just some paper rolls. However, there was nowhere to plant after I did that video, and so I had to transplant it, basically step it up to this size pot. But now I have this room. They are definitely ready to go into this raised bed, along with this is a lima beans, so cute. And then I pulled out this chili pepper outside in the shade. It was just getting maybe a couple hours of morning sun, so I thought it was doing pretty well out there, right? I think it's going to do even better being here, even though it's not going to be in that much sun in the winter, but it's still in a more elevated and open space here. So I'm just going to keep this here. As you guys know, peppers can grow, or they'll stay alive in mild winters. You don't have to actually bring them inside unless it freezes over. Then you definitely want to keep them inside and then bring them back out in the springtime. That way you can really save a lot of time. You don't have to grow them, starting from seed every single year. So that's what I'll do. I'm just going to plant this in here, and then I got a dwarf cherry or tomato. Just going to keep that out in that corner. I think it's going to be pretty adorable as it kind of grows out a little more. And then why don't we come over here? This is a hyacinth bean. I really love the way these sort of bean flowers look. They got that purpley lavender color flowers, and then the pods have, they're green with a purple trim around it. So it's so pretty. Absolutely love how they look. They are really good, when they're still tender. You can pluck those pods to cook with. As the days are getting shorter, these are putting out some really nice buds. In this pot, this is a curry tree. I'm really looking forward to see this grow taller. It would have grown a lot more, but it started to flower, and I really wanted to have some fruits. So all the energy was just, putting it all to produce the fruits. And so now that the fruits are finishing up, I'm starting to see some growth at the top here, some leaf growth. And I planted this with some Chinese chrysanthemum. This is, now we're in autumn. So these mums are growing. Yeah, I'm really excited to see everything fill in here. And then there is this fruit. So this is the curry fruit. Doesn't it look like an olive? Let's try this. So good. Some people think that their fruits are poisonous, but it's not the fruit. It's actually, I believe the seed is poisonous, is what I've read. So you can just save the seeds to grow. The fruit, though, is medicinal. The fruits smells just like the leaves, very fragrant. So a really fruity curry flavor. And this is actually nothing like the curry spices that you put to make curry. I mean, that's sort of like just a general term for all the spices to put together, and they call it like curry. But this is actually a curry leaf. Curry leaf smells completely different. The leaves and the fruits smell the same, but the fruit is, it's got the sweetness to it, so it's really tasty. It actually reminds me of Suriname cherry, which is one that's just a few of the fruits are starting to grow now. So let me show you guys a little bit of that. This is the Suriname cherry. For some reason, the flavor or the smell of it really reminds me of the curry leaf. I dressed this plant with some compost a couple months ago, so then the bitter gourd seeds actually started growing here. There is, I think, two that sprouted first, and then this one just sprouted like about a week and a half ago, this third one. But yeah, they're putting out little flowers. There's a couple of gourds, so these bitter gourds are actually growing. I might put a little greenhouse here, just kind of try to keep them alive for as long as possible. And then on this side, these ones, these beautiful red roselle, are starting to put out buds as well. Look how rich and deep this color is. Now, I started all the roselles from seed. I did pick the tallest plant, though, to transplant into this large container. I wanted to give it potential to grow as tall as it can, and it's definitely the tallest roselle, and it's like super fast growing compared to the rest of them. Another reason is that it is in a full sun area. It gets actual sun from all around, whereas the other roselles that are against the house, it's getting full sun, but not on the backside since it's the wall. Roselles will start putting out these buds in the fall, usually when the days start getting shorter. And so I am seeing some already flowering. Now, I did start the seeds of the red variety later than the green. I don't know if that's why they're just now putting out buds, whereas the variety with the green leaves already have flowers starting to develop. Or this red variety does develop a little later, just, compared to the green. If you guys know anything about that, leave a comment below, you guys. Okay, here is the really crazy project that I recently did. I hope you guys have caught that episode where I was installing all these different varieties of dragon fruits here. I've done one episode on how to prepare for this planting. I did spray this with some eco-friendly wood treatment, and then I wrapped the base so that I can hopefully make this last a little longer. I also put a mount on the wall because this thing is 8 feet tall. It sounds super crazy, but I think it's much needed for this space since we have quite a narrow walkway, and the way how dragon fruits grow when you train them is that when they get to the top, you clip the top off so that they would kind of branch out more, and they'll do this like cascading effect. I definitely don't want to be walking by and getting hurt because this is cactus after all. So by giving this about 8 feet of height, that would allow enough room for them to drape down, and I won't run into them. I have a yellow, red, and I believe I might have one that's got like a pink outside, white inside type of variety here. So I'm really excited to start seeing these. Hopefully they would start taking off now that they are finally situated. It's been like 2 to 4 years where I have them in different places, just in like individual pots and not knowing where I can put them. So this is super exciting. This is a pigeon pea. It grows really fast. kind of looks like a tree, but this is a bean actually. It's a lagoon. I really love the way how this looks, the way how these leaves feel really soft and fuzzy. And you know, after they establish, they're actually very heat and drought tolerant because they are native to places like India. Certain parts of that actually can get quite a drought out there. And this is very high in protein. You can eat these, you know, when they're tender young pods, you can eat the whole pod and the seed, the bean itself, or you can eat them, you know, wait for them to dry and just save the beans and compost the pods. So you can eat this in various ways. You can, you know, do this like chop drop kind of a thing when you're pruning them to kind of just put back this, what do you call it, nitrogen into the soil. I don't do too much of that because it is in a container. I don't do too much chopping, but if there's some dried leaves, I do just kind of leave them on top of this container. And the flowers are actually really beautiful. I love the way they look. I think they really add to that autumn effect too. So we'll see how this does in the winter out here. It's my first year getting them growing this big, so I'll keep you guys updated on that. Right below here, I've grouped the pigeon pea with the caper bush and this is a Greek oregano. This is the ones with fuzzy leaves and got really pretty dangly flowers. This is the caper bush. I only recently learned that the leaves are also edible, although I haven't tried yet. But you actually pick the buds of the caper flowers to pickle. I think these flowers are so beautiful. I wouldn't want to do that unless I have like a lot of plants. They actually form berries, so I would actually rather pick the berries to pickle if I really want to. And then I got a couple of crates on this side that I cleared out after harvesting some sunchoke, so I'm really excited to get some flowers or even fava beans on this more sunny section, even though the sun doesn't really hit it until it gets like at least 3 feet tall, or even 4 feet as the angle kind of shifts in the winter. We really don't get much sun in here. So I think growing a lot of leafy greens in the winter would be a really good option for, you know, if you don't get a lot of sun in the winter. This is the variegated turmeric. I haven't tried out how they taste yet since this is my first time growing them, but you can see that I got this living mulch growing here. This is the gold moss. It's completely covered up the soil here so nicely. I'm still thinking about whether I want to cover this up in the winter, put a greenhouse thing here or not. Eventually I will move this to the shade side because it was getting burned a little bit in the full sun, and I was giving them some cover up when the days were like hitting 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, and let me show you guys how the sweet pea tree is doing. Here is my sugar snap, lima beans, sweet peas, kind of a trellis. It's super easy to make, and I've used the seed bites to clamp down on the rim of this container. It's growing in really nicely, and I think the shape of this is going to be really festive around the holiday season. If you guys want to see how I made this, I'll leave a link down below for you. There you go. Oh my gosh, let's just check out if the Acerolas are ready to eat. So a little bit of information on the Acerola, you guys. Acerola is known to be this tropical little fruit that looks like the size of a cherry, and they're just, you know, in Southeast Asia, they love eating these with some salt and chili peppers because they like picking things green when they're not actually ready, they're not ripe yet, and they're super sour and crunchy. But if you wait for them to turn red, you know, when they're actually ripe, they're so delicious. I've been having trouble getting them to fruit, so I've reached out to some of you guys, and you guys were saying either it was lacking water, or it was too much water that caused the flowers to drop, or one of you guys said that you live in New Jersey and getting like a bunch of flowers to fruit. So I was thinking it could be like a humidity issue. Or, you know, it could simply just be that the plant wasn't mature enough to really give off a lot of fruit. So Who knows, right? But the thing that's been quite successful so far, I must say, is that I came out here every day, or as much as I could, really a few times a day, to mist this plant to make sure that like the pollen sticks to the flowers. I don't know, I just thought I'd give it a shot, and if it really is a humidity issue, I might put out like a mister out here for this tree, but for now I would have to say adding the humidity and increasing the water and more fertilizing, because this is a tree that's growing in just I want to say 7-gallon pot. You know, it's quite a small container. I have to constantly feed it with nutrients. Other than that, yeah, I did the misting thing also, and so there's actually 10 fruits on this tree. It's super precious for me right now because most of the flowers drop. I started to see a few things being nibbled at. So it's either them or the birds. That's why I have to keep these cherries protected. Let's go up there and check if any of them are ready. Acerola is known to have super high vitamin C. And I've done a video on how super excited I was about this tiny little tree that was giving a few fruits. So now that the tree's older, I hope that it's going to continue to grow more fruits. Yeah, so let's just see. Okay, they're pretty hard still, so I think I'm gonna wait on that. I mean, they can be eaten at any point when the fruit gets large enough. But I really think they're really tasty and probably most nutritious when they're deep red, almost to a purpley rich color like this red roselle here. So I'm just gonna wait till they're about to drop when it gets really soft. It's really ooey gooey. If you guys wanna know how this tastes, be sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm sure I'll be sharing that once they are ready to eat. There's something really special that I want to share with you guys. That is the Barbados gooseberry. It's flowering for the first time ever. When I was working around this section, I saw something white up there, and it's planted right next to the moringa, which has been flowering, and the moringa flowers are white also. So I didn't really think much of it, but I looked up anyway, and that's when it caught my eye, and it's like this beautiful miniature dragon fruit flower, looks kind of like that. It had a bit of a fragrance to it, although it's not my favorite. It does smell floral. So I just want to share that with you guys. It looks a lot like dragon fruit flowers, and dragon fruit flowers have a very short time, you know, being in bloom, and then they would just start to die off and then fruit. So hopefully this is going to fruit. I'm going to cross my fingers on this. Yeah, I just want to share this short moment with you guys. You guys remember back in one episode I was talking about living mulch? One of my favorite ones to grow is the bacoba. The bacoba is a water-loving one, so I plant it with this taro type of a plant, so it totally just drapes over, and you just pick these leaves, thank you, and you just munch on them. And they're good for brain health. I'm just a huge sucker for, you know, landscapes with things that kind of drape over, things that climb up, and all that jazz. As the weather is cooling off, the Yacon is actually looking stunning. They like that warm weather, but not super hot, and when it gets too cold, it also dies back, and that's when you would harvest them. I got a few of these growing, and they're still looking really beautiful. One of them is flowering now. They look like mini sunflowers, and after they flower, usually the plant would kind of start dying back. This one is starting to put out some buds. I can see them from here. This eggplant, I got to give a shout out to Green Zebra Gardening. He was the one that started this from seed, and we actually traded some plants last year, and this one was in, I think, quite a bit of sun until everything kind of grew over and shaded off, and it really wasn't doing well, but it did stay alive in the winter 3 months ago. I figured, you know, let's just have it share a room with this roselle since the bottom here is going to be quite open. They both love the sun. Let's just put them together. And so I started seeing them take off, and then so basically there's just this one plant here, and it's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I miss something? Oh yeah, I think it's like there's 6 of these really good sized fruits here. These seed bites clamp on the garden stakes really well, so I was able to feed all these strings all around just to support all of these branches with eggplants on them. This one's developed this really deep purple and it's super glossy. One of my favorite ways to eat this is just to roast it plain and then pair it with a lot of Thai basil. I think Thai basil and eggplant together is just the perfect match. As you guys can see, you don't need a whole lot of space to grow some food. Some stuff even grows so well in containers. If you guys are looking for some plants and seeds to start your garden or to plan for your next growing season, be sure to go check out my website. I'll leave a link of that as well as the things that I've mentioned in this video in the description box below. If you guys enjoyed this one, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification button so that you'll be notified once a new video is out. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you right back here in the next one. Bye.